Hello, welcome to the CHABSS in Motion podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Antonio Tomas de la Garza, and this episode is dedicated to Career Week. We have four very special guests with us. The first is Luke Harmon, Director of Entertainment at the Terry Campus of Life and the Boardman Theater. Next, we'll have Richard Parks, an alumni and environmental scientist with Caltrans. And last, we'll have Ashley and Natalie, two students from the Arts, Media, and Design program who have recently completed internships and are going to share their experience with us. Hello, Luke. Thank you for being here.
I'm fantastic. Thank you guys for having me out here.
I really appreciate it. So, one thing I want to start is just doing a little bit of myth busting. There's this cultural narrative that people in the arts don't get jobs, that there's no money, right? That it's a very hard career to get into. And I feel like it'd just be great to start with someone like you who's had a very successful career, done many different parts of creative work. Can you tell us about your story? How did you get into it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went to, I'd always been in performance my whole life and everything. And then kind of paired with that, one of the other job opportunities I got while I was in school was actually working with a special needs population, which was a lot of fun. I mean, there's the old stereotype about, actors, actresses, card-carrying waiters, etc.
Yeah.
I did the restaurant circuit for a bit, but then fell into working in the special needs service industry while working on my degree and everything, and kind of seeing where there's a crossroads there, and being able to utilize art to help people, to help engage folks. It's one of those things, and it's people we'll go through it time and again, just like, hey, if you engage a special needs population with the creative arts, you're gonna be just blown away by the results. You get a lot of openings for individuals, things like that. People just they open up, once they're given that safe space to do it. It's incredibly rewarding for them and for you.
It's fantastic work. And talking a little bit about that, would you like to tell us a little bit more about Terry Campus and its mission and what y'all do there?
The theater I run is the Boardman Theater, and we're on the Terry Campus of Life. And what we do out there is, our whole mission is to provide hope, services, and supports for individuals with special needs and their families. And where the Boardman Theater fits into all of this is, like any other live entertainment venue, we're putting on shows, we're creating opportunities for artists. However, what sets us apart from everybody else is when we create those opportunities for artists, we're able to use those opportunities, use those show night events to help provide services and supports for individuals with special needs. So, it's going out to a regular theater like you would anywhere else, but your entertainment dollars, your entertainment budget actually goes back, and it supports individuals with special needs, and that's what we're all about at the campus, helping people out, having a good time.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. And just to clarify, so the Boardman Theater produces shows for everyone.
Everyone, absolutely.
And that goes to support the work at the campus. But you also do shows with special needs.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have the Terry Players and the Terry Band, our two house companies, if you will. They do multiple shows every year, and they're getting into some more video recording, some other video production, which has been a lot of fun. They just did their third movie premiere just back over the summer. They had a whole short film fest, and then more recently, just a couple months back, they actually did their second full-length feature on the new Boardman stage called Love on the Menu. Totally sold-out crowd. It was a lot of fun, and one of the coolest things that we do over at the Boardman and at Terry is our cast are all individuals with special needs, and it's all them on stage. They handle all of the production elements. I mean, they're creating the stories, creating the scripts, deciding on how things are going to be blocked, deciding on the character development. They have instructors, but they function more as guides to help people get their ideas out. But yeah, when it's showtime, I mean, it's all our guys on stage. Their staff aren't on stage with them, so it's the magic of theater takes over, and their talents and everything, and it's a good time every time.
That is so beautiful. So could you talk to me a little bit about what you do as a creative director, what your roles are, and how you help develop?
Yeah. So as director of entertainment operations, I oversee all of the booking and production management and execution over at the Bornemann Theater. So that's everything from getting on the phone and talking to bands, going out and scouting bands, comedy, things like that. Actually, tonight I'm going out to go scout some comedy this evening. So here's kind of a side note for everybody really quick. If you're in the entertainment business, it's not a 9 to 5. It's
Right.
it's kind of an all day or whenever shows are happening type gig. It's wonderful, but it is definitely not for the faint of heart. But yeah, I mean, I do all the production management, so getting the bands kind of coordinated in on their load in, their show dates. I work with our marketing team to get the marketing materials out and make sure that we're selling tickets and that there's awareness out in the world about any of the shows that we're bringing in. So kind of the full circle for every single show.
I want to backtrack a little bit. So you started in acting, or?
Yeah. I started. I went to Arizona State, not Cal State.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my BA in theater with an acting concentration from Arizona State, and moved out to Chicago and was working in the black box theater scene out there. And at the same time, doing kind of another side gig that I had, kind of fell in love with while I was in school, which was helping the special needs population, and being able to kind of fuse those two passions, together, and helping to develop performing arts programming for the organization I was working with in Chicago at the time.
So this was really kind of just you starting hands-on with a passion and
Yeah.
developed from there? Is that-
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. So when we were talking before, we had mentioned a little bit the networking and your experiences specifically in Chicago. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. It's networking it's an incredibly important part of any artist career path. You can go to school and everything, which is fantastic. Everybody should absolutely pursue higher education, especially in creative arts. The other piece of that is you can't just show up, with your degree in hand and say, I'm going to blow you away with my audition. It doesn't always work that way. A lot of the gigs that people will get come through networking. So a lot of that is you want to show up to as many shows as you can. Not just to support your fellow artists, but figure out who are the players in the industry, who's putting on work, who's the casting director for a show, who is directing the show or producing it. If you're on the tech side, like how am I going to get in and get noticed, outside of just cold sending in a resume or a headshot or something. Show up, be a part of the entertainment community. Be okay with the fact that, hey, it might take a second for you to get on stage, but while you're working and going to auditions, you absolutely want to go and find out, hey, where's the after party at? Where's the cast wrap party? Right. Is it open to the public? Like, can I make friends with somebody and hang out? Can we do some work together? Because a lot of work gets generated at these after hours events. How, for example, like I got involved with the Chicago Fringe Festival. I was in the audience for a show with an artist that I was working on kind of a side project with. I was going out to see her work in another show, and just sitting right behind me, two gals were just talking about putting together this, Chicago Fringe Festival, being part of the Fringe circuit. And I just turned around and said, "Oh, hello, that sounds like a lot of fun," and introduced myself and just said, "Yeah, I'd work with, this gal who's, featured in the show tonight. We're good buds, and, I'd love to hear more about what you guys are doing with the Fringe Festival, and, is there space that I can help out?" And they said, yeah, and so, you know, a lot of hours and sleepless nights, and, you know, one day into the next later, you know, we'd put on, you know, the largest theater festival in the city of Chicago, and we did that for, I was there for about 5 years working with them, and the festival continued for a further 4 years after I'd moved out here to California. But yeah, I mean, that's just one of those examples. Oh yeah, you know, you never know what kind of work can get generated.
It's so funny. I had something almost exactly the same. I was in Tijuana. I was doing some writing at a bar I like. And all of a sudden behind me I hear people, and it's in a mix of Spanish and English, and they're talking about immigration, they're talking about organizing, they're talking about working. And I turned around and I was like, I don't know you, but I think we're going to be friends. And, yeah, that started a whole set of relationships that sparked my career and my writing and stuff like that.
I mean, one of the things that a lot of young artists kind of need to understand, too, is the folks on the other side of the audition table are people also. You know, they've got a lot going on, a lot of things that they're working on. You know, they may be casting for more than one show at a time. So you got to kind of understand, okay, people are insanely busy. There is a lot of pressure, especially when it's, you know, your own money on the table for something, or your reputation on the table. There's a lot of that goes on. And another kind of big part of that also is, you know, knowing who's going to be reliable. You know, is when I've been on the, you know, the other side, when I'm casting a show or something like that, or when I'm working as a producer on something, I've never met, you know, a lot of the cast that's there. A lot of people, you know, you could have a couple hundred people showing up for your audition. You have no idea who this random stranger is. But at the same time, you know, when you think about it as a business, you're having to stake, you know, some of your reputation, some real, you know, money on, hey, is this person going to come through? You know, they may look the part, they may do a great audition, but you know, there's weeks of rehearsal that we have to get through. You know, are they going to be reliable? Are they going to show up? You know, are they going to be on time for things? Are they going to, you know, have good chemistry with everybody else that's on set? And you know, sometimes, hey, yeah, you pick a real winner, but then there's other times that, you know, you don't sleep for the entire project because you're like, oh my God, who did I just offer a job to?
Well, and this actually I think brings up something really important I'd love to have you speak into, right? 22-year-old me, not the most responsible individual, probably not the most reliable. If you were to talk to one of our students or you when you were getting started out, what would you say the most kind of important hallmarks or things someone can do to prepare themselves in this way to go and get a career in the arts?
Number one, be nice to everyone. Like, honestly, be nice to every single person in the industry. You have no idea who folks are networked with. You know, you may see them on the other side of the table, and kind of like I said earlier, a lot of times, you know, when you're casting a show or people are working on a show, there's the talent part, but also, okay, hey, are people going to be able to stand working with this person, you know, for the next, you know, 8 to 12 weeks on a project? You know, is their attitude going to affect anything? So really, you know, always be nice to people, always be respectful, show up on time, and on time means early in the industry. Things will happen. Just already assume, hey, if your audition's across town or something like that, even if it's kind of close, just plan on being there as early as you possibly can. You know, it's fun. You can sit and rehearse and meditate a little bit before focus on the work that you're going to do while you're already at the audition, you know, but you're not going to be setting yourself up for success if you're late. That's the last thing you ever want to do. Also, you know, go out and see work and really commit to doing that. Like I said, you know, make friends with people, go support the industry. If you're not willing to spend $25 to go see somebody's show, $30, why should you expect them to go pay to see yours? You know, so it's, you absolutely want to go and support and see what else is going on. And also, as you know, a young artist, you really want to look at a career in the performing arts like you're you're your own business, basically. You almost want to think of yourself as like a mini corporation in a lot of ways. I know that may seem a little odd and like a little against the grain of
Right.
why we're all creative artists and everything, but there's a method to it, and folks who are really successful in the performing arts are successful because they treat themselves as a business. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do the best representation of myself as I can. I'm going to take a look and do my research and homework. Like, okay, should I do this French neoclassical piece in this part of town? Is that really going to speak to the ticket buying population out there, et cetera?
Right.
Is this work even relevant right now to a lot of folks, or am I just doing this because I want to make art? And making art is wonderful; it's a great thing, but at the same time, you have to always keep in mind, okay, at the end of the day, like, I'm going to be able to do my next show if I sell enough tickets to make it. Someone's going to want to take the risk and invest in me if I'm able to produce results.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
Everyone, you can hear more from Luke. He's going to be a guest of honor at our CHABSS networking night. Looking forward to seeing you there this October. Thank you again so much. I really appreciate it.
It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Have a good one. With me today, I've got a very special guest, a CSUSM alum from the Environmental Studies Department, Richard Parks. Richard Parks is an environmental scientist with the California Department of Transportation. And I know when you think of Caltrans, you're probably thinking highways, public transit, and the often dreaded highway construction. But they also employ scientists to protect California's environment. And with us, we have a guest who makes sure that roads, infrastructures are balanced with environmental safety. Thank you, Richard, for joining us. My first question is, could you just introduce us a little bit to yourself, how you found your way to CSUSM, and your career trajectory from there?
Sure, sure. Richard Park, thank you guys for having me. It's really an honor for you guys even to considering me, and yeah, thank you very much. Um, my journey, I guess, began um, probably a little bit with environmental science. My sparked my curiosity with the environment probably when I was in the Army. Um, I was a scout, so we would have to monitor environmental situations. But that didn't include just like movement of people. It was actually like structure um, to ensure that we were able to, drive our vehicles over bridges and things like that. And that really just sparked my interest in like map reading um, and geography. So after I finished the Army, I worked in the oil and gas industry uh, for 10 years and found quickly that not only when you're working with oil and gas, you have a responsibility to be respect and make sure the environments, you're not hurting the environments. And from then on, I left to the oil field and came back to California, and I decided to go to school for environmental studies to pursue that. So basically, that's how I came to CSUSM.
That's fantastic. So, can you tell me what was the first class at CSUSM that really felt like you were on track, or any particular topic or assignment?
Sure, sure. So I know when I first came, my first semester, it was all online still. It was during COVID, and probably my environmental justice class. Um, I knew I was in the right spot with what we were talking about. Probably that class really sparked, and I knew I had made the right decision. It always goes, I don't know, I'm really uh like critical with my thinking. So I'm like, did I choose the right path? And I knew right then and there that I did.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. I love that certainty. So I'm curious about any events or activities, clubs that helped you stay connected while you were at Cal State. What were you involved in?
Sure.
and kind of how did that help translate into your career down the road?
Sure. So the ESA, I always helped out with the ESA, and then in the garden, I would help build like the sheds and things like that. So
Uh-huh.
that club and group kind of kept me involved and interested. Also, GIS. Um, I don't know. I made a lot of really close friends in those classes. Um, things like that. Now, I will say I didn't get involved with internships like I would have liked to, because I know there was plenty of opportunity. Um, in my situation, I'm just a little bit older, so I have a wife and kids. Um, but I wish I had pursued and got into more internships within CSUSM because there's so many, and it really would have kicked off. I would have made my career, my looking for a career after, I think would have been a lot smoother. So
Yeah. Well, and maybe you can talk to me a little bit about that transitional phase. So, what year did you graduate? When did you?
20, 2024.
2024. Okay. So
Yeah.
relatively recent grad.
Yes.
Um, how did you find your way to Caltrans?
Okay, so the path to Caltrans was a long and patient one, let me tell you. So when we graduated in May, I was hot on the market, applying a lot of interviews, and I was getting the interviews. And the positions I was going for at first, I was going for GIS positions. Um, but I was getting turned down too much with those positions. So then I decided I've always liked to be outside and in the field. So I pursued more jobs where I was going to be outside more. And I was getting more luck. I felt like I was doing better in those interviews. So that's kind of what drove me to look for field work. Now, I'm going to try not to go too round in a roundabout way. The initial job I got, so it was 8 months after I graduated that I finally found a position, and I think it happens to a lot of us. I was panicking. I'm like, I need to work. I want to use this. I was also very nervous that all the information and everything I had learned from CSU SM would go away. So I'm like, I need to get in there. Okay, I'm not as sprite as some of the other kids. So I ended up taking a position. It's with Montrose Environmental, and it's environmental consulting in oil and gas, which I have background in that. And it was a lot of field work and a lot of travel. But I always remember what everyone kept telling me is it's almost easier to find a job when you already have a job, and just patience. I interviewed for Caltrans in November, and they didn't call me back till um, earlier this summer. So and I totally forgot I thought they forgot about me, and they didn't. And as soon as I heard, I took it right away. It's where I want to be.
That's fantastic. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do at Caltrans?
Oh, so at Caltrans, I'm with the Environmental Regulatory Permitting Unit. So we're basically, for all the projects, my job is to write the permits. Now, it could be a Colorado or California um, Department of Fish and Wildlife permit. Whenever we do work, we have to ensure that most of the work it's with bed banks and channels. So we're just making sure that when they do the work, there's no endangered species that are going to be hurt. If there could be a chance mitigation for that, all that has to be written in the permit to ensure that the project goes smoothly. And California is very, very strict with their environmental policy and laws, like the rest of the world follows us. So uh, it's mostly dealing with permitting, finding out which areas have protected species, and it's just a lot of investigation, which is really cool because everything I'm doing with this job is exactly everything I learned at CSUSM. With my job before this at Montrose Environmental, I was using some of my skills, but not all of them. Right now, I can legitimately say I am using everything I learned at CSUSM through going through the program.
That's fantastic. We love to hear that. Um, can you maybe tell me a little bit like what what would you say the most important skills needed to develop for someone who would like to take your path? While they're here at CSUSM, what do you think are critical?
The most important skills, number one, is patience. You have to be patient and you have to be willing to deal with things that aren't as clear cut as you would like them to be. I don't even know if I'm using the right word. Is it ambiguity? You're just dealing with uncertainty all the time. Um, and me going back to school, I dealt with that a lot. But you have to learn to be comfortable in it. And if just because it's something you don't necessarily have done before, you will have the skills to figure it out on the fly. Also, working with different groups of people was a plus. It's what I'm doing now, and during school, that's all we did. So that was another great thing that kind of kicked it off. Research skills, um, everything. A lot of my technical skills using Microsoft, I didn't know how to use prior to school. I'm using them now. There's so much. There's so much. I would not have the position I have now without what I did at San Marcos.
I think that's great. And as a professor, I got to say the much dreaded group work assignments, there really are reasons for learning that skill and developing it.
Even if you don't think you're developing a skill when you're doing those, you are. And when you do it later, you look back and realize, oh, this is just like I did here on another project or in this class. It all comes full circle.
Absolutely. What what would you say the most surprising thing was when you took this role? What's the part of your job that most people wouldn't expect, kind of starting off in the industry?
With this position I have now, it's almost like my title is an environmental scientist. At the same time, the more, and this is my third month there. Um, and I will say they kind of, at Caltrans, they kind of just have thrown me in, which is okay because I'm used to that type of environment and learning that way. But I'm almost dealing with the environmental side of things, compliance, at the same time, law as well. Because there's a lot of legal things that go into this. I'm also getting a pretty much another degree for free in engineering, and I'm not an engineer. It's a lot of plan reading, dealing with engineers. Caltrans is a engineering department. A lot of people don't know that. That place is full of engineers. So it's a lot of working with them and just making sure that their designs and the things they do stay compliant with the environment and the regulations of the state. And that is a gray area. But that is, yeah, I'm doing law stuff and engineering things, which is awesome.
That's fantastic. If you had some advice that you would give to someone starting out where you started out, new student in the program, right, looking to get a good career like you have, what advice would you give to that student starting out?
My advice would be keep an open mind, be patient, and be a sponge if you can. Just absorb everything you can. And I know sometimes during school, it seems like your head can't take anymore. I can't take any more information. Be a sponge and try to absorb every little thing. Like I said, it was like clockwork, like a light bulb went on when I first started with Caltrans. It's like you've done this before, maybe not in the same manner, but you have done it and you can do it. Um, Also, and I don't want to, it's okay to take a chance. Like if you, when you're applying for work or if it has something to do in the environmental field, but you're thinking, oh, I don't know about that. That might be too off. Don't be afraid to try. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You're going to get told no. Um, and the process of finding a job after I graduated, probably the second time in my life I've been told no so many times. But you got to stay patient. You got to keep your head up and you just got to keep trying. And also just realize that if you're not getting these jobs that you want, the job you're meant for is being created for you as you speak. You just have to be patient.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate you speaking that kind of wisdom because I think it's important for people to realize it, and it's one of those things that it's hard to see when you're in it, you know.
Yes.
Um, Absolutely. Um, well, I want to thank you so much for your time. I don't know if you've got any last message you want to give to the CSUSM community, but we certainly appreciate everything you've done for us, showing up and sharing your experience.
And to all the students, just keep grinding, okay, and make sure you make sure the positions you take with the knowledge you've gained um, in the environmental with environmental studies. Don't forget about your integrity, and don't let anyone take that. We all know what's right and wrong, and sometimes when you get onto the career field, your integrity can be tested. You got to stick to it and stick to your guns and stick to what's right and what's morally right.
Wow. Well,
Oh,
thank you so much. You
listen to your
are,
professors too. Listen to your professors. They're all great, every one of them. I didn't run into one bad professor at that school.
that's awesome. Yes, thank you to the shout out to your professors, and thank you for the wisdom you've shared. And you, I just got to say, are a fantastic example of what CSUSM is about. So take care of yourself. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Professor Meehan. Thank you.
I want to welcome two people to this next segment, Natalie and Ashley. They are two students from the Arts, Media, and Design program who've just completed internships. Thank you for joining us. And what we really want to do is just talk a little bit about your internship experience, how you feel coming out of it, and also how you got into it. So, welcome to the show. My first question is how did you first become interested in AMD? And what were your favorite courses, and how do you think it prepared you for the internship?
So I chose art media design just because I've always had a passion for it, starting in like 7th grade, and graduating high school I felt like I just wanted to continue that, and I chose AMD specifically here at San Marcos because they had all the majors, the major that I wanted with all of the different types of classes with like painting, graphic design, more hands-on like sculpture classes, and I think overall that prepares me for a bunch of different internships, whether that is like more marketing or more hands-on.
Do you have a favorite medium that you came in working with, or a favorite way of working creatively?
I still choose like graphic design overall, but I do like tapping into the other ones.
That's awesome.
So for me, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to go into because I came from high school to middle school. I did ASB all those years. So I love doing like events and the graphic design, the marketing, the production. And to me, I didn't really see like a career path outside of that because it was more of a hobby. And then outside of school, I'm an avid concert goer. So I go to a lot of different concerts. And when I would go to concerts in like fan culture for concerts, they have this thing called like concert freebies. So I used to I learned graphic design just so I could like almost make friends through that. And when I was doing that, to me, it was just a hobby, and it was just something I was like investing my own time and like space into. And I didn't really realize that like professionally or educationally, you can pursue something in that realm. So I came in very unsure. But then after taking an AMD course, which was, I want to say, the graphic design course, I realized that I really did want to learn it to a whole other extent. So then I decided to major in AMD. And then I also looked into the different career paths that tie into that, because I feel like many people think because you do art, you have to go into art. Right. But when I got my internship, which was part of it was marketing, it kind of opened my eyes, and I also added a marketing minor along the way. But I essentially got into it because of my hobbies, and I didn't realize that educationally you can pursue it.
That's incredible. So both of you, if you had a dream job, right, based on where you're at right now, or a dream company to work with, what would it be, and where would you like to go?
So if I had a dream job, I'd say my internship is essentially one of my dream roles that I want to do, which is social media marketing. And the dream company, I got fortunate enough to land with them. But if I wasn't with them, I would want to go to any other concert company. So like AEG, Studio Pav, or anything in that realm. But I definitely would want to pursue social media marketing just because it helps fulfill my administrative roles of, doing analytics, logging, and just, I love doing ideation. So part of it incorporates that. And then also the creative aspects of filming, editing, graphic design. But also helping me work with music, which is a huge passion of mine. So it helps just level everything out.
Yeah, and just for clarity, the dream company you're talking about.
Live Nation,
Live
sorry.
Nation. Thank you. How about you?
I'm not sure which company would be in particular, but I like also doing some sort of like marketing more on like the networking, having those relationships with people, and then the social media aspect where I'm able to promote it like digitally as well. Because right now at like the Career Center, that's kind of what I'm doing. I do the like physical, tangible outreach, but then also the digital media, and I think both of those are really important for bringing awareness to people, especially with having these resources that are free to students. I would want to carry that into a different company after graduation and just continue to promote things that are free for people to use. They should take advantage of. Yeah.
You know, one of the things, as I've done some of the work to help students prepare for careers, the notion of finding an internship and applying for an internship can be very intimidating. So could you talk to me a little bit about your journey there and how you found it and just kind of, you know, the steps you took?
So for me, the best way I could say it is to put yourself out there, because I feel like a lot of people are scared of that. And it is scary because you can't just do it without, like, one of the terms that I heard is like getting over yourself. And it does come to like getting over yourself and just getting out there. For me, I did two completely like different routes to get my internship. So outside of school, I love filming videos or just making skits or anything sorts, and I go to concerts already, so I thought like why don't I just film what I'm doing and just put it out there and build my own community. So in that sense, I had that credibility of being able to initiate things on my own and just being resourceful with what's around me and what I have. But I knew that ultimately that can only get you so far. So if I wanted to do this professionally or have some kind of professional connection, I started going to a lot of career expos, because a lot of companies are at career expos. And there's different ways to get there. Like if I didn't have anyone to drive me, like there's, you know, bus, train, public transportation, it does the job. So I went to a career expo behind BMO Stadium. And when I went there, I just went to every single booth I possibly could, knowing the elevator pitch too came in clutch so bad, because right then and there you have give or take a minute, and if you can surpass that minute and talk to them longer, then that's pretty good too, because your elevator pitch did the job. But how I got mine was I went to that career expo, I hit it off with a recruiter, and then afterwards we followed up, I applied, I interviewed, and then that's how mine happened. But it very much so came in being able to put yourself out there, both in like a broader spectrum and in on the spot.
Can I ask you, I'm putting you on the spot, but hit me with your elevator pitch.
Hi, my name's Ashley Santiago. I'm a third year at CSUSM, and in the future I would like to pursue social media marketing through this profession. I would very much love to grow campaigns, specifically in the music realm. Along with this, outside of school, I do social media marketing on my own, and imagine I have my resume, so I would be able to show you all that. And then I would also follow up by saying, at school, I also get to implement this in a professional setting through my job at the Office of Graduate Studies and Research. As a media engagement student assistant, I'm able to produce events, promote them, and just do outreach. So
I've told a lot of my mentees, usually I'm helping students get into grad programs, you know, that at conferences you need like a 30-second pitch, right? And then if they ask a question, you need to be able to extend that to 2 minutes. And then if they ask a question, you know, you're set, right? You're in. So I'm really glad you brought that up. How about you, Natalie? Can you talk a little bit about your process? And
I don't think I really had an elevator pitch as much. My journey started my second year while I was here on campus. I was just trying to put myself out there, as you were saying, and just start making those connections with people. I started off with ASI, volunteering there, and that kind of like opened that gateway to start like volunteering and working there. And through that, we're able to collaborate with so many other people on campus and just get those networks as well. And then at that same time, I also started working at the Career Center. And I think that just being there with the career counselors, they can help give me a lot of advice, and out there tabling, doing events again, lots of networking. So while I was at the Career Center, my boss, like my supervisor, she actually ended up like retiring, like leaving that job, and then she went to the United States University. And because of that connection and just knowing that I am like a good hard worker, I guess, that she did want me to also be there as well with working with them. So I didn't really have an elevator pitch, but
Oh yeah,
But,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
and as you bring up another important point, and I think both of you do, right? Volunteering or just getting involved. You know, I was actually meeting with a student just the other day, and while they don't have a lot of work experience, they've been very active in their community. And so, did you talk at all about your work outside of work when you were applying for internships or developing your professional portfolio? And maybe you could talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So for me, I got to touch on that during my interview because one of the questions they asked is like a strength and weakness, and I'd say my weakness was that I lack experience in the entertainment. Like I didn't have any. So, but my strength was that I was able to show that my skills were transferable. So although I can't do it, I haven't done it in this space, I've done it in XYZ space. So that's how working at CSUSM helped me.
Yeah.
So I was a student assistant, so that role entails like a bajillion other mini
Right.
roles. So I was able to show that I did like event production for symposiums that held this many people. I did our research seminar series, which is this many times a month that holds this many times of people. I got to work with seating charts. I got to work with other people to do outreach along campus, whether that's physical or
Right.
digital outreach. And then along with like social media, that's also part of my role. So filming it, editing it, publishing it, coming up with ideas that go into the school guidelines, accessibility guidelines. So for me, the way I was able to talk about my role here outside of school
Yeah.
within my internship was during my interview.
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just kind of all under the same umbrella when I'm talking with my friends or my family and they're asking like what I've been up to. I'll start
Yeah.
off with like my classes and I'm like, hey, I just printed this and my
Right.
printmaking or I painted that. And then I'll go into like, oh, for social media, I just made this post or stuff like that. I just took photos at this event. So I think that's kind of the way that I am able to
Right.
talk about the different stuff. And for the volunteering, it went kind of hand in hand with
Yeah.
like the marketing outreach and stuff like that. So they were all under the same like cohesive umbrella for me.
Excellent,
So.
excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully that answers.
No, that's perfect. That's
Okay.
perfect. There's, what was the most surprising thing or interesting thing that you got to work on as part of your internship? What was your favorite part?
I can start with this
You
one.
can start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for the career agency, I think that one was very interesting for me because they hired me for my minor. They liked me as that perspective. A little bit of the arts as well because in the beginning, my first project was to do user experience with web design.
Okay. Yeah.
And we were doing that in Salesforce, and then when that kind of ended, we shifted over to creating like AI chatbots for the users and
Right.
stuff like that. And then once that was done, we moved on to a third project, which is now data mapping and just having like old records being created into new ones that fit the new the new record fields. So it was surprising because it's definitely something that I'm not used to and I'm not
Right.
taught in my art classes, but kind of what she was saying with like transferable like skills that
Yeah.
can still be adapted.
What was the most surprising thing or interesting thing that you got to work on as part of your internship? What was your favorite part?
For the career agency, I think that one was very interesting for me because they hired me for my minor. They liked me as that perspective. A little bit of the arts as well because in the beginning, my first project was to do user experience with web design.
Okay. Yeah.
And we were doing that in Salesforce, and then when that kind of ended, we shifted over to creating like AI chatbots for the users and
Right.
stuff like that. And then once that was done, we moved on to a third project, which is now data mapping and just having like old records being created into new ones that fit the new the new record fields. So it was surprising because it's definitely something that I'm not used to and I'm not
Right.
taught in my art classes, but kind of what she was saying with like transferable like skills that
Yeah.
can still be adapted into those tasks.
I'd say I had a full circle moment. And for me, my full circle moment was I'll give you that. Like I knew going into this that doors can possibly open, but it's kind of up to you to make those doors open.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is a great way to make those doors open. So through the internship, I got to be part of the Black on the Block team. So it's a festival that we have that supports, Black culture, Black community, artists. And in the lineup, I hadn't seen the lineup because I didn't know it came with like a concert afterwards. And when I saw the lineup, I saw one of like my childhood stars. His name's Leon Thomas. He played Andre in Victorious, and he recently got back into the music space. So to me, I would have never thought that I would have had the full circle moment of seeing someone that, you know, helped me learn that I loved music at a very young age to now. And I got to get there early, like see the stage be built, the soundboards, everything from it being clear to us like redirecting the traffic for people to come in for the vendors, the crowds, and the sponsors that we had for that one I think were Smart Water and Coca-Cola. So kind of just seeing also how sponsorships get integrated there. But for me, the most surprising was being able to have a full circle moment, like being in that space and with music and, you know, someone who I looked up to at a young age.
Well, I just want to say thank you both so much for your time.